Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review the new true crime documentary, The Perfect Neighbor, coming to you from Netflix, from director Geeta Gandbir, and this film focuses on a minor disagreement between neighbors in Florida takes a lethal turn, with police body cam footage and interviews probing the aftermath of the state's controversial Stand Your Ground laws. And this film is very fascinating because this is a bunch of body cam footage put together from the police as they navigate this extremely unfortunate and tragic situation where, this tension between neighbors turns into tragedy. And from a filmmaking standpoint, all this body cam footage is so uncomfortable because it puts you right there as we're experiencing so much of this with the police. And, we get to see different sides and different perspective of police work. Obviously, a lot of people have a very specific perspective on what police work is like. And obviously, most people's perception of it is from crime procedurals or, the worst of things. And it's interesting seeing these cops, generally mild-manneredly, trying to navigate these unfortunate tensions between these neighbors. And I think there's something very relatable about this story on some level of I've lived in a neighborhood where I knew all of my neighbors growing up. That's not exactly as commonplace like where I am now. I don't really talk to any of my neighbors in my development with all our townhomes, but you have that feeling where it's just yeah, there's that one house nobody likes and is causing problems with everybody on the street. And this film really captures that and puts us into that situation where this has more impact because it feels like something we could have experienced before. And this documentary is very visceral and unrelenting in the way that it presents all of this footage and puts us in this situation. And yes, it's tragic and something horrible happens in this situation, and how this film navigates that perception of stand your ground, where it's if you're on my property, I can shoot you. And it's if you are trespassing, I can defend my ground. I live in New Jersey. This is not that kind of state. And it is a very interesting kind of perspective. Obviously, Florida has a reputation for being one of those states in the United States where it's just it's complete madness, mayhem, and lawlessness, which is kind of ironic that, super support law enforcement kind of state too, but you could do whatever the hell you want and shoot people who come onto your property. And the way that this film navigates this topic, this concern that certainly is a concern in many areas of this country, it navigates it in an impactful, thoughtful, and engaging way that we explore what are the consequences of laws like this, and is there a better way of navigating something like this. And this film, I think, will certainly sell on just this idea that this body cam footage and this very uncomfortable putting you into these situations, hearing from the neighbors themselves and these experiences. And it's a very engrossing, compelling, and thought-provoking documentary that certainly takes a unique approach to telling its story and tackles very timely ideas and themes in a situation where this could happen to a lot of people depending on what state you live in. And I think you have Gunbeer, who does a fantastic job of piecing this all together. But those are my thoughts on The Perfect Neighbor. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you, as always, for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.